go.
You know, you open up every show with, all right, here we go.
Is it a habit?
I don't know, but I was thinking like the last couple times you opened it up with that.
Just seems natural.
I
Is there a
think we
problem with it? Do you not like it?
No, I just was saying it, like it just every time. Like if you look at it, it's like, all right, here we go. Welcome to Ask a Black Guy. I'm your host, Slim. We're here with your boy Smooth. It's almost
I wasn't even gonna get. I wasn't gonna do that today.
Oh, what were you gonna do?
I was just gonna hop right into it.
Oh,
We got a lot of shit to get to.
well, I like to say, how about we start with like, hello everybody. Welcome back to Ask a Black Guy. This is your host, Slim and Smooth. Thank you for sharing your radios with us, or your airways, or your AirPods. Or if you don't have AirPods, you just got the little stringy earpieces things. You know, they used to come with the old iPhone, and you could plug it right into your phone. But then now the iPhone got all fancy and shit. So now you can't plug a regular fucking air jack into goddamn phone. You can't use it no more. Or you can't switch it from your phone to computer because now it's all over.
Listen, folks, it's been a while since we recorded. Gary seems to be. Oh,
you did it again! You did it again!
Oh, Smooth seems to be
Smooth! Damn
a little
it!
rusty.
It's Smooth!
I guess Slim seems to be a little rusty too.
Damn! I should just switch my name.
You should. Everybody knows by now.
No, it's Smooth. This is Smooth. Oh wait, this is not Smooth. Hey, this is Smooth. Back with the sexy voice.
Listen, It's been a while.
It has been a while.
To be honest, the last time we recorded was pre end of the fucking world.
I
I mean, the madness that's going on right now is out of control.
You see all the memes that says,
dude, how memes for what? There's
it's
so
like,
much.
Well, there's memes that's like, Grandpa, can you tell me about the year 2020? And Grandpa's like, let me pour a drink first. And then there's another meme that was like, well, it all started with this fucking chicken sandwich. And then it just goes off the rails.
This is a fucked up year.
Yo,
dude,
this
is straight madness.
Yeah. Dude, there was another meme that was like 2020 every month is trying to outdo the month before. Like with craziness.
We're on pace for thermonuclear war then, because this shit is fucked up.
Oh man.
I mean, for real. And not only that, but it plays right into the content of our show.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks,
much.
last 2.5 weeks. It's fucking sickening. It really is, bro.
Yeah.
I feel bad for so many people. There's a lot of emotion floating around, a lot of different issues.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I mean, George Floyd died at the hands of a shitty Minneapolis police officer.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was the most heart-wrenching, disgusting thing that I've seen in a very long time. I've seen some pretty fucked up shit. Like, you watch that guy's life drain out of him while he was pleading for help. It was really fucked up. And even more than that, oh, dude, I'm in the middle of a heavy conversation, and Octopus legs over here knocks over his fucking drink.
Oh, damn it. I didn't see that. Fuck, my slippers are
hold up. All right, and we're back. That was horrendous.
Yeah.
Take a fucking breath, bro. He listen, Smooth's all jazzed up right now. I could tell the topic's already getting on him. Well, so where were we?
You were talking about George Floyd.
I was trying to intro into our topic here.
Yeah.
Which, yes, it is George Floyd and the fucking chaos that we've been living through in 2020. I feel bad for a lot of people. I feel bad for young people. I feel bad for anybody in the mix. Anybody who's felt wronged. I don't know, man. It's crazy. It starts with one thing, right? And it's just this powder keg environment. Pre-COVID, and this might be a terrible thing to say, but I think it's true. I think this one death, this one shitty officer killing George Floyd, wouldn't have sparked a nationwide protest, riots, looting all over the country. I think it was a perfect storm of everyone pent up, right? You have all this emotion surrounding the COVID, and then this massive event that just turned into
I think
keg.
even if we didn't have COVID, everybody still would be pissed and everything still would be going on. Because
you think to this degree even?
Oh yeah, because if you look at the tape, it's clear and it's bad. And it's bad. And it's not just that like this was the only one. This was one of many, but this happens to be the most horrendous one that's on tape, and you can see the whole video. So this is literally the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Black people
COVID has to play into it to a certain degree. People's mental state.
So what I would say with COVID, how COVID played into it is several ways. Number one, you had a lot of people home doing absolutely nothing. Right? So what do? They have opportunity to watch this over and over again. They have opportunity to sit and actually research it and listen to the news that's coming in. They have opportunity to search and try to find independent viewpoints of the situation. Right? Also, so COVID allows for that to happen. Also, COVID allows for people to go out in the streets and protest because 9 times out of 10, you'll be at work. So now people can go out and protest. Another thing COVID allows for to do is the riots. So you got people out there rioting who, and we have people out there rioting who, some of them probably wouldn't be out there in the first place doing it. But look at, we're in 2 months in, 3 months in, no jobs, no money coming in. The unemployment system gave them a $1,200 check. How much is everybody's rent or mortgage? I mean, $900, $700, $1,200, $1,300, $1,500, $2,000. The unemployment system has been backed up. Some people haven't received an unemployment check yet, and they put in early.
That's what I'm saying. So it just builds on itself, right? It's just a snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, that might have been the event that broke the camel's back, and kind of using an old cliche there, but you could describe it that way for sure.
No,
my concern is that there's always a line to be crossed, and I think that varies from event to event.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start breaking into the looting and the rioting and the senseless arsons of people's small businesses, somebody's hijacked a message there, and I can't believe that a guy like George Floyd, for instance, would want that to happen, and I don't believe that the people that are out there peaceful protesting, specifically concerning George Floyd's death, would want that to occur either.
Well, here's the difference.
And I feel like a message has been hijacked.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you pointed that out because I want to make the very, very clear distinction between protesters and rioters.
There has to be, right?
There's a clear distinction to protesters and rioters. And this is going to have layers. So hopefully I'll stay on track and I'll break this down.
Just take a breath. Don't get up on that soapbox, bro.
Oh, I'm on level 3. Like
I can see you got to look into his eyes right now.
I'm on level 3. So the protesters are the protesters, and protesters are peaceful, and they come out and they do the thing. Then you have a branch of people who are rioters, and rioters are broken down in several subdivisions. Right? You have people who are angry, and they take it out on businesses and companies in their neighborhood and other neighborhoods and stuff like that. Then you have people who are just opportunists. They don't give a shit. They just want to cause destruction, cause harm.
Because they're criminals.
To criminals.
Straight criminals.
And then you have people who are desperate. like I don't have any money. Like I saw one video on Facebook Live where people rated a CVS or a Rite Aid, and I literally saw people coming out with. I mean, obviously you saw people being idiots, but I saw a lady come out with a pack of diapers. Like
that shit's expensive.
I got 2 kids. I know. So it's kind of like some people are mixing the message and blaming, like, oh, what does the riots have to do with George Floyd and you want equality and justice? First of all, let me say this: if anybody, and I challenge you, I implore you, I beg of you, please write a comment in askablackguy.com. Write a comment. Ask me directly. I challenge you to talk to me about the riots. My thing is this: if you
be careful what you wish for.
I implore you. You're
gonna argue with a faceless troll.
I don't care, because this is what I'm going to say. If the riots bothered you and you spoke out about black people rioting, which is not just all black people, you can clearly see.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying it's all black people rioting.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, if the riots bother you and you are upset enough and pissed off enough and spoke out about the riots, then shame on you. Because where were you when black people were losing their lives, and that was okay with you? That didn't bother you at all. You didn't go to your social media. You didn't become a keyboard warrior. You didn't say anything about all these black people being murdered or being killed unarmed by the police. That didn't bother you at all. But when people start rioting and businesses who are insured, by the way, start getting burned down, that's your level of disgust.
All right, let's hold up right there, because before you get on to something else, you said a lot right there.
I got more to go.
I know you do, but let's unpackage it piece by piece.
Okay.
Because you don't want to go down a rabbit hole and we can't dig our way back out here.
Alice in Wonderland, bro.
It's a fucked up movie. All right, one point you talked about insurance. Companies are insured.
Mm-hmm.
I hear this argument a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it holds water. And let me tell you why. Yes, you're right. Business insurance exists for these reasons. And they're in some cities, one business gets hit. One business is known to be a minority-owned business, a black-owned business. Next business isn't. The rioters knew this. Okay, they skipped right over the black-owned business. Now you could say, "Oh yeah, business A is insured, business C is insured," but guess what? The guy in the middle whose store didn't get hit, the black-owned business, his insurance rates just skyrocketed.
Oh, which was probably sure. I'm not denying that.
There's no, so you can't say, "Oh, they're insured."
Well, I'm not.
Well, hold on. And in addition to that, these businesses that get hit.
I didn't say it didn't hurt anybody, and I'm not standing on the argument that the businesses are insured. What I'm saying is, people who are complaining about the riots because of the businesses getting hit, but they were completely quiet as the church mouse when black people were dying at the hands of the police. They didn't say shit. But the businesses is where you finally get up in arms and want to start complaining about shit. I don't want to hear it. That's what I'm saying.
So just to summarize what you're saying, you're saying the business owners and these people, the patrons that use these businesses, spend money there. It's in their community all of a sudden, and they're bitching about their businesses in their backyard,
or whoever, or whatever business. Listen, understand, I'm not a guy that's like, oh, let's go riot and do all this crazy shit, to get back at them. I'm not that guy. What I'm saying is I understand why, though. This country, America, only understands 2 things. It was built on 2 things. It was built on money and violence. That's all America understands. You fuck with America's pocketbook, they listen. You punch America in the mouth, they fucking listen. Period.
I'll agree with you to a certain extent. And actually, to elaborate on that a bit, I heard a good point the other day, and it just escaped me. Actually, fuck. See,
What?
This is what happens when we don't record every 2.5 weeks.
Dude, you got a tablet. You got to write it down as you go. That's what I do. I write.
I do. I was
'Cause I
taking
forget
notes,
shit.
but this one came on the fly as you were talking to me. So go ahead,
I'm sorry.
get back up on your soapbox, bro.
So
Let you have it.
So that's what I'm saying. So if you come out to complain about the riots and you didn't say anything about the black people dying, then shame on you. I don't really want to hear your complaints.
But there's a lot of people that are doing both. That were legitimately in these protests,
Mhm.
who are also speaking out against the riots and the
Yeah.
looting, because it steals away.
I don't-
It hijacks that message.
I don't agree with the riots. I don't think it should be happening. What I'm saying is I understand it though. I understand why.
Oh, that just reminded me what I was going to say. Is that right? You said you understood why they
Mhm.
happened,
Mhm.
and I can agree with that to a certain extent, because if you're not being listened to, if the protests are being ignored, and I mean, how many times have we seen this? Baltimore, it happened in
Kaepernick,
Baltimore. It's
for years.
Kaepernick, whatever. You
Mhm.
name the event. It's happened, several times a year for the last
Mhm.
decade. If those types of protests just keep getting ignored and nothing changes, right?
Mhm.
What is left? There's not many options you have.
I agree.
Now, me and you, and I won't talk for you, but I don't think you would do this. I don't think you would resort to violence. I don't think you would resort to arson. I don't think you would
No.
resort to burning a business down
No,
or
but
somebody's
also
house.
I haven't been put in a position where I can't provide for my family in these opportunities. And I hate to call them opportunities, but a lot of times, like a lot of those people, that mob mentality takes over, and things that you normally wouldn't do, you're doing because you're part of a group. If I'm broke, I have no money, no food on my table, and somebody breaks into a supermarket, and guess what?
You're taking a bag of
I would
Doritos.
love to. I'm taking the aisle of Doritos. I mean, I would love to say I'm morally above, I would never do that. But I haven't been in a position where my back's against the wall and I can't provide for my family. Because guess what? At the end of the day, my family is important. And I need to make sure they're okay. And whatever I got to do is whatever I got to do. And I'm not saying that every rioter out there was in that position, but there were a few people.
But you're separating two separate things here.
Well, that's why I said the rioters are broken down in subdivisions.
True, right. So you got the rioters that were agitators that are trying to make
Mhm.
a fucking point.
Uh-huh.
And then you have
The opportunists.
who are trying to provide for their families.
Well, no, it's the
opportunist
agitators.
criminals versus
Yeah, you got the criminals who are just looking for mischief. You have the agitators who are frustrated, and that's all they are falling back on. They can't go anywhere else. And you have the people who are desperate who happen to be amongst the crowd. Like, shit, it just popped up. I got to take advantage of this.
I mean, some of the craziest shit I've ever seen was on May 30th.
Mhm.
That live news coverage that was happening all over the country
Mhm.
was some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I just, as it was happening, I was like, this is madness.
What specifically?
What really got me was the torching of businesses
Mhm.
and police cars.
Police cars.
Yeah.
All right. So
The anti-police sentiment, and I get this actually could go back to, if we want to take a step back to the actual George Floyd's death.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a problem,
Mhm.
right? What I want to make sure that it doesn't get lost in all this craziness is, as horrific as that was,
Mhm.
I don't think, and as shitty as of an officer that guy is, I don't think he woke up and said, I'm going to kill a black guy today. I don't think he had intent to go and kill a black guy today or that day.
Mhm.
I think he would have easily done that to a white dude.
Well, apparently he had 12 counts against him, and
For disciplinary
yeah,
purposes.
and if
He's
I
a
read the
shitty cop.
article, if I read the article properly, he was involved in a shooting years prior.
Mhm.
Then he killed like 3 people in a vehicle accident. Did you
He's
read that?
Yeah. He's a fucked
Yeah.
up cop.
Yeah.
He really
He
is.
shouldn't have been on the streets.
He should
But
not have been.
that's the
on
police
job.
fault, because every police officer, and I will bet my paycheck on this, every police officer in every precinct, in every division, in every level of law enforcement, local, federal, state, knows at least 1 or 2 police officers who are either terrible at their job or should not be police officers.
100%.
And they do not speak up against it. They sit around and they watch shit happen, and that's their fault. And the sad part is they've all said to each other or themselves, that person is going to get themselves killed or somebody else killed.
I'll disagree with you on that. I think there are people that have said some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not up to that person whether the person that they're serving in uniform with
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis has a job or not.
Understood.
That's completely up to the department and how that department's managed. And each department handles shit differently. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely
right. This is a big problem in America. There's no standardization of policing. The expectations of police officers is impossible, particularly right now. You can't ask a police officer to just be a guardian and also make split-second life and death decisions.
No, I get that.
There has to be a dialogue, and it's starting. If anything good comes of this, I honestly believe that there's going to be some reform on training standards, maybe some national standards that are across the board where departments don't have a choice for certain things, whether it's disciplinary actions or, more importantly, in my mind, it's the hiring process. Being an effective police officer is probably one of the most difficult jobs that's out there.
I would agree with you.
It's very high stakes. It's riddled with low volume, very boring, long hours, spiked with intense life and death situations that you can't expect a human being to act perfectly in all those different scenarios. But I think that pay for police officers is a big problem. I mean, when they're only making $50,000-$60,000 in some of these smaller departments, they're doing the same job that any police officer in New Jersey's doing when they're making $120,000.
Right.
Or, you follow me? And
I do.
The pay scale is just wildly different, and you're not going to get top tier candidates for jobs paid between $40,000 and $60,000. I think that's a big problem. You know, you're just not going to get it.
No, I get that. I completely get that.
So I think that's a huge problem. But back to George Floyd though. What's your thought on my comment there? I don't think that guy woke up.
You know what? I can say I don't think he probably woke up that day. So today I'm going to go out and kill a black guy.
Or
it just goes
that
to
he
show
was even inherently racist. I mean,
no. Well, I don't know that. I can't say either way.
You don't know it. That's the
I
question.
don't know
That's
that.
the
So
point.
I won't make that decision.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is he was willfully ignorant of the fact of his jobs. He was willfully ignorant of his training, and he did not care. Because I don't know if people notice or not, but there's a thing that's taught in police academies, and you can look it up if you want. It's called positional asphyxia. So once a suspect is handcuffed with their hands behind their back, if they're laid down, face down, with their chest on the ground, it causes breathing problems for some people. Not all, but for some.
Usually
so just
heavier
leaving
people.
Yeah, heavier people. So just leaving a person like that, they can suffocate under their own power. So this gentleman, this officer, had George Floyd handcuffed down on the ground, face down, and had his knee in his neck. So if nothing else should have kicked in, the training of positional asphyxia should have kicked in. And he was handcuffed. There was no reason for your knee to be in his neck.
There's no excuse.
That is not taught in the police academy as a tactic of control. Now, I'll give you, full disclosure. If George Floyd was fighting those 3 cops, he wasn't handcuffed, and that's all that officer had at that time was to put his knee right there to try to control him, then this is a completely different
Exactly.
topic.
He was in custody.
He was handcuffed.
He wasn't fighting.
He was in custody.
Wasn't struggling.
No.
There's no excuse for it. And I don't think
No.
we're in disagreement. I don't think anybody can watch that video, honestly, and disagree with it.
No, but there are people who say, oh, look at George Floyd. He was a career criminal. This is what he did. He was high on meth. He was this. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He was under control. He was arrested, and he was murdered. And it's sad.
It's disturbing. It really, honestly, disturbing to my core.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've seen horrific shit. That
and it's when
up there.
fucked up police like that do something that bad or do something bad like that when a good officer makes a mistake, a flat out he fucked up, makes a mistake, he gets no leeway because this shit's been happening for so long. So
Right.
now what good faith you probably had from the community is gone because of this shit bag.
it only takes one.
Yeah.
But you have to
And,
realize.
and you're right. It only takes one. But apparently in this country, if you're black, it takes a lot more than one because this isn't one. This is one of many.
But again, I think we're separating the issue here. You just agree with me that I don't know if this particular situation was based on race.
No, it doesn't.
Now,
It doesn't. At some point, you have
Now,
to
hold on.
say,
let me just, because there's plenty of white people that get shot by officers too.
not as many as black people. And the white experience, and I'm glad you brought that up.
But
The white experience from police officers are completely different than the black experience from police officers.
and that's something I can't comment on because
And
I've never experienced it.
Perfect
You know what
example.
I mean? I don't
Perfect
know.
example. Look at the
I've
peaceful
hung out with you
protest.
long enough to know.
Yeah. But look at the peaceful
I've been with
protest.
you long enough to know.
Look at the peaceful protests that's been going on. How are they ending? The protests, not the riots. They're being shot with tear gas. They're being shot with rubber bullets for violating curfew and all those other shit like that to disperse the crowds. That's how the police are handling them. But look back to about a month ago when those people in Michigan wanted to fucking
Why are you-
protest.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm not yelling. I'm getting fired up. So look back at
All right.
Michigan a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when the white people were protesting the COVID closure. What did they do? They grabbed their AR-15s, they grabbed their AK-47s, they grabbed their handguns, and they marched to the Capitol steps, fully armed, shouting and yelling, and acting a goddamn fool. And what did the police do to them? Absolutely fucking nothing. They walked up to them, had a conversation with them. Unarmed protest, peaceful protest that the black people have been doing, they've been getting shot with rubber bullets and tear gas. What do you think those white people would have did
Hold on.
if the cops would have started shooting them with tear gas and rubber bullets?
Hold on. Let's not mistake either. There's plenty of white people in these George Floyd protests.
You're absolutely right, but it's a black issue.
No, understood. And I'm not taking away from that. But where I will draw the line with your argument is that there was no looting, there was no rioting.
There was wait. I'm glad because during the protests
Mhm.
there was no looting, there was no rioting. During the riots, there were riots. There's been
Understood.
peaceful protests separate from the riots.
No. I know what you're saying. The peaceful protests that got broken up by the tear gas and the rubber bullets did happen after the initial spark of the violent riots and the fires and all that.
But
And there was
but
curfews, and there was curfews in
the
place.
curfews were set, right?
Curfews were set,
Mhm.
and that's how they used to break up.
But they
these-
still shot the
gatherings.
peaceful riots. If you would have let the people stay there and protest peacefully, guess where they are? Protesting peacefully, not rioting in the streets.
What about the agitators that are hiding within the peaceful protest, just waiting for the opportunity? Because
You're absolutely
that's
right.
a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a real thing. And again, if you let the peaceful protesters stay there and protest peacefully, they're not rioting in the streets. So the agitators that are hiding amongst the peaceful protesters have no choice but to stay at the peaceful protest peaceful protests and protest peacefully with everybody else. When you start shooting people with rubber bullets and tear gas and make them disperse, then what you do is effectively creating chaos. And from that chaos, dumb shit is born.
Hold on, I got it. My ear's bleeding.
Yeah, well, you got big fucking ears. So from that, from you break up those groups, how do people you ever see? So on the news, when you see the peaceful protests and you see the cops fire the tear gas and the rubber bullets, do you let me know which group do you see? Do you see people saying, "Oh no, guys, look, the cops are firing tear gas and rubber bullets. Time to pack up our shit. Let's walk home." They turn around and walk away peacefully? Or do you see people saying, "Oh shit," panic, and they start to scatter?
Well, you see the scattering.
You see the scatter.
Now,
So-
what I will add to your scenario is there's a couple things going on that happen on the ground that we may not be privy to.
Which is
Right.
Obviously.
There could have been known threats.
Very well could have been.
There could have been stuff on the peripheral
So-
that
so-
wasn't captured by news cameras,
Mhm.
where violent actions were being taken against police officers, and the call by the department at that point in time,
Mhm.
instead of letting it continue,
But we also,
is to control it and
Mhm.
disperse.
you're right. But we also don't know if that happened.
True. I mean, I don't know if
But what
departments
we do
commented
know,
on.
But what we do know is a group of white people went to the state capitol armed to the fucking teeth and nothing happened to them.
True, but my point still stands. There was no violence previous or related to that particular protest.
So
That
there was
happens
no
all the time.
violence. And, no, I get that. I get what you're saying. So you're saying that protest in Michigan, although people brought their guns
Again, it happens all the time.
out in the open, people, no,
Hey.
black people don't do that. Black people do not do that.
I'm not
That happens all the time with white people, where they say
saying
we're tired of this
at
shit.
protests.
We'll bring our fucking guns in case shit gets crazy because we're ready to fucking go. And then they go do whatever they need to do. That doesn't happen with black people. So you're going to, not you specifically, but this, to say,
You can
that-
say it. It's me.
so to say that, oh, we shot up a peaceful protest and broke it up because of the night before it was riots. That's bullshit. Let people protest peacefully. What's their right? You want to set a curfew? Set a curfew. But let these people protest. Let them fucking be. Don't shoot them with tear gas. Don't shoot them with rubber bullets when they're not doing anything that make you to do that. None of their
I agree.
behavior is warranted that.
I agree.
Let me ask you-
I agree with you. Hold on. I agree with you. But again, I will say you really don't know what the truth on the ground was.
We don't.
And what those officers
don't.
were dealing with.
You're absolutely right. And
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend that I do.
Okay.
But if
So you
Those-
can't say it was the wrong call.
I'm not saying it's the wrong call. I'm just saying it's not being treated as fair as the white protest. Because if I guarantee you this, if they went to Michigan, when they went to that protest with their guns, if they would have rioted that day and then came back the next day armed to the fucking teeth like they did, they wouldn't have fired tear gas or fucking rubber bullets on a crowd of armed people. Tell me they would have.
Oh. I don't
Black
know about
people,
that.
black issues, and white
I
people.
don't know about that.
Well, I'm going to make this statement.
Hmm.
Black people and white people are policed completely different. Black communities, white communities are policed completely different. Completely different.
I think if the same level of riots were associated with that crowd that you're talking about up in Michigan, okay, that same level of violence, riots, arsons, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
and then they showed up at the state capitol armed to the teeth, I think National Guard absolutely would have stepped
National
into that.
Guard wouldn't have had time to get in there. If they just showed up the very next day.
The
Those
police,
peaceful protesters showed up the very next day.
the police wouldn't have even, I don't think they would have had firepower to deal with that kind of an uprising.
They
an
probably
armed
wouldn't.
uprising.
Probably would have.
So, I mean, we're talking. That's a that's extreme. I mean,
That's not extreme.
You have
It's not extreme because it happened. So it's not extreme.
no. It didn't. Your scenario didn't actually happen. You were saying,
Oh, you said if they would have right
Yeah.
prior, they showed up with the cap.
yeah.
Got you.
I mean,
Gotcha.
that's a legit. It's basically a coup. I mean, they're trying to take over the governor's mansion, bro.
Bro,
Like,
what did you think they was doing? They showed up to.
They were.
You let a bunch of black
were-
people show up with fucking guns to and the numbers that they were in Michigan to the state house anywhere. It's going to be you will have fucking gun reform by the end of the week. No more rifles. Fuck it. NRA is like, hey, I get it. We gotta shut this shit down.
Shut it down.
These are the American people are a little lost. They've lost sight of what's important. Let a group of black people do that shit. Ammo is now illegal. Nobody can buy shit.
Lock it down.
Yeah, that's how it go. Like, man, fuck that.
I don't know. And can we really say that there wasn't any black people in that crowd? I don't think we can say that.
You know, I always preface that we can never speak in absolutes because you're just an idiot if you ever speak in absolutes. But we can speak in majorities, and I'm pretty sure the majority of that crowd was white. There's probably one black guy that the news always happens to find.
I love that guy.
It's just one black guy that just always happens to be around.
I love
Like,
that guy.
what are you doing, Donald? Get the fuck out of there.
It's so true, though. They always go to that one guy.
It's always one. And then the news always focuses on it. And then Fox always wants an interview. So, Jamal, what do you think? Well, I think this is great. This is fucking great. I'm an American. Woo! And you're sitting there like, you fucking idiot. But that's his right. But, you know, let people speak the thing. But the reason I'm so passionate about this and the reason it bothers me so,
You're passionate about this?
I might show a little bit of emotion during this topic because I'm a father, I'm a son, right? I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, I'm a nephew, I'm a friend. But before I'm any of those things, I am a black man. So I deal with
Black
a
guy.
lot of
Ask a black
black guy. Ask about. I'm a black man, black guy. So I deal with a lot of this shit all the time. A friend of mine wrote a post on Facebook the other day. He's like, "How old were you the first time cops ever pointed guns at you?" I was 21. I had 4 cops point a gun at me, and they weren't in uniform. They were dressed as regular street people, undercovers. I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna be murdered. I thought I was gonna get robbed. That was my honest opinion. And then when they identified themselves as police officers, I was fucking livid.
What'd you do?
I yelled. I was upset. I made such an argument that they just fucking stopped. They were trying to search my car and everything. And they gave me the whole, you fit the description. Give me that bullshit. Like, I was so mad. And my cousin, who was inside the store, I was waiting for him to see me. He didn't see me the entire time. Like, they blocked my car in, and they started staring at me. And then I'm like, fuck. And now I'm thinking I'm going to get robbed because it was just an unmarked car. And then they get out, and then they all start pointing guns at me. And I'm like, fuck, here I go. I'm done. I have nothing. And I swear to God, if I'd have had a gun that day, I would have shot them. I had no idea they were police officers. I would have shot them. I would have tried to defend myself. Black people, black communities are policed completely different than white communities.
I agree
This
with
is
that.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. So
Take a breath.
it's
You
frustrating.
want to take a break?
No,
You
It's
just
frustrating.
Make yourself a drink. Relax.
I need a drink. No, but it's frustrating. But it is what it is. So hopefully we can fix it.
Well, I don't see how, with all this mayhem, something doesn't change. You know what I mean? Something's going to come of it.
But what's crazy is you see these protests and you see all these videos. I mean, you see the protests, you see people complaining, but you still see videos of cops still doing dumb shit. You are on the world stage right now, and
Yeah,
you're
but-
still doing dumb
Yeah,
shit.
but hold on. You even said it earlier in the show. There's 1-2 cops
I know.
in
I know.
every department, every shift.
I
Those
know.
are the only ones that are going to get the attention, bro.
You're right.
And that's the issue. There, for every one of those bad cops, there's how many other great cops
There
that
are a
do
lot.
really great things
You're absolutely right. There are a lot.
that go out and they do the right thing in the communities that they police. They
Mhm.
establish relationships, they establish that trust, and they are guardians of
Mhm.
those communities.
You're absolutely right.
And they do the right thing, and they just don't, they're just not going to get the attention. It's a thankless job. It
Oh.
really is, dude.
I agree.
It's got to be one of the toughest things to execute properly. And then to do it over a course of a 25-year career and keep up with that level of professionalism in the face of the horrific shit
Mhm.
that most officers encounter throughout their career. You can't tell me that a human being and the brain can properly digest some of the stuff that they see. I mean,
No,
you walk into a room and you see a guy's head blown off his shoulders because he
Mhm.
just killed himself. You rescue a drowned child from a river,
mhm.
and then you got to go make a death notification to parents. You see horrific shootings, people shot 15, 16 times, still alive. Then you
Mhm.
got to rush them to the hospital. I mean, these are horrible things. These are true stories.
No, I get it.
And every officer's got many of them.
I'm pretty sure they do.
And I think there needs to be some focus on how that affects the psyche of a human being and why police officers can be so crusty and disassociated and can appear to be very disgruntled. But when you're in the face, how else can you live? How else can you
No, I mean I
live a
get that.
day-to-day existence?
I get that, but that's a completely separate issue from
Well, it is and it isn't. I think it plays into the narrative a bit. I mean, you're expecting impossible expectations or setting impossible expectations for officers. And I don't think your average officer has the bandwidth or the capability to do that. It's a lot.
It is a lot, and I'm not denying it. I'm not the cops see some ugly shit out there, and that fucks with you. I get that, I do. And for the good officers, job well done. But for the bad ones,
There's no room for them.
unacceptable. And it's up to the good officers to handle that.
But if they don't, the most they can do is speak up about it, right? They
It's
don't
up
have
for
the
the good
hammer over this guy.
officers to handle it. However it gets handled, it's up for the good officers to handle it. And that goes from the field to the supervisor, because there's some shitty supervisors too.
Of course.
Yeah, but it's up for the good officers to handle it.
The problem with policing as a profession is that the stakes are so fucking high. It's life
Agreed.
and death all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, you could look at a simple fight on the ground that in a bar wouldn't be a big deal, but when you got a gun on your hip
Mhm.
and you get knocked the fuck out, that gun's free play, man. There's nothing stopping from whoever just knocked you out grabbing the gun, shooting you right in the fucking face.
Understood.
And I think those are the details that most people can't grasp, and I think it gets
Just 'cause
lost.
people don't
I
have
think
the
it gets lost in
training.
it.
They don't have the training,
Of course,
and they don't have the knowledge behind it.
but it's also never talked about.
Yeah.
And I don't know whose fault that is. Maybe police need to do more outreach, be more
Well,
open about the
it's-
training.
The problem is everybody has their preconceived notions, and I understand it from the police side, because there's a lot of shit you deal with, and then I understand it from the civilian side too, because there's a lot of shit that they got to deal with, but nobody talks. Nobody talks. Police thinks, no, fuck it, I'm right. It is what it is. I don't have to listen. Civilians think, no, you're wrong. I need you to listen to me, but the cops aren't listening. You know what I mean? And then you get the civilians who are fucking
Well, and you get more entrenched. That's the problem.
and then you get the civilians that are fucking fly by night attorneys that know the fucking law. And it's like,
yeah, but what happens is you listen to your echo chamber, right? You're in that all the time, and you get surrounded by that, and then you just get more entrenched in your view. That's the problem.
no,
You know, and if there's no exposure to the other side of the story, or you don't allow yourself, which is probably the bigger problem, because you can get any information out there you want. When people live in their bubbles, man, and when they don't want to expose themselves to anything else, all you hear is the same shit over and over and over again. If somebody else opposes that, you're the fucking devil.
Right.
And that's the divisiveness that's happening right now, you know, on a large scale.
No.
But what do you think about the some of the departments that have kneeled and in front of these protesters?
So that's I'm not against it, because that's saying I hear you, I understand with you. You don't have to agree. Like, you don't have to agree with their protesters, but hear what they're saying. Because if you don't even listen to them, nothing's ever going to get done. You know, I've seen articles where one police captain or something like that kneeled, and then in front of the protesters, and then like the next day he came out and said, I regret kneeling, it was the worst thing ever. And police officers got mad and resigned. What are you mad about? They're asking you for an olive branch to take a knee with me and recognize why we're protesting.
Is that what it is? Or is it, and I think it could be perceived this way, is it more of, you will bow before me or I will tear your city down? I think that's the other side of that coin, and how it's perceived.
Why is it you will bow before me? Because the protesters are kneeling also. They're kneeling with them.
No, a lot of them did not kneel. They were standing while the officers knelt.
I've seen videos of officers and protesters kneeling.
Okay.
And if somebody gets the idea that it's
separate than what I saw.
All right.
I'm sure there's different versions.
If you get the thing to taking the knee goes back to when Colin Kaepernick was trying to protest peacefully. He took a knee in solidarity. The knee is nothing but a show of solidarity that I hear you and I'm with you. You're talking about injustice. You're talking about the crimes that are happening against black people in this country. That's what it was.
Can I say something about Kaepernick?
Go.
Because I just saw a news piece on him today that Roger Goodell is trying to force teams to hire him. Wouldn't you say if he was good enough? Hold on. Wouldn't you say if he was good enough, he'd be on a fucking team? Kaepernick, I would say he was good enough.
He'd be on the team. So
he sucks.
No, he does not. You mean to tell me Blaine fucking Gabbert is better than Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah. Well,
get the you,
dude. Murdered a man. And he's
allegedly.
On the team.
He didn't murder that guy. You're gonna get sued. He didn't murder that guy. They said he was involved. But no, a lot of these backup quarterbacks were terrible. Colin Kaepernick was not that bad. Colin Kaepernick was blackballed. I'm just saying,
if he was good, there is no way.
No.
There is no way.
No,
an NFL team would not pick him up.
No, that's wrong. You got to understand the culture that's ran by the owners of the NFL. The fucking owners of the Redskins were saying, that's our name and we're not fucking changing it. We don't care how racist this is. You can have a team in 1914 called the Little Niglets. And then you think they're going to change his name? It'll be no difference. They don't care. Colin Kaepernick was blackballed and shut out. There are quarterbacks that are worse than Colin Kaepernick that are on NFL rosters.
Did you say the Little Niglets?
Yeah. It's no difference than saying the Washington Redskins.
That's a real
Oh, it's
team?
real. No, it's not a team. That's a term, derogatory term. I'm trying to get you to understand how derogatory Redskins.
I thought you said there was a team like back in the day.
No, I'm saying if it was a team named that. That's exactly how.
You think Native Americans feel that strongly about the Redskins?
You goddamn right they do.
As you
Like,
as
you might as well
you
call-
would.
You might as well call it the Eagles the fucking Philadelphia Darkies. What the fuck is that? Redskins, Darkies, Redskins, Darkies. Do I gotta keep saying it? Redskins, Darkies, Redskins, Darkies, Redskins, Indians or Native Americans, Darkies, Black people. See what I'm saying? See where it's going? The exact same fucking thing. Or you get the fucking. I'm not. You get what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying now? Like at first you might not think
I'm
about
just being
it because. Oh yeah, well, let's just. No.
I thought you knew me by now. I just like to set you off.
I just went on a whole tangent. You're a fucking dick.
I just let it roll.
But yeah, no, Colin Kaepernick definitely was blackballed. So it is what it is. And
I don't know, but back to the kneeling thing.
when black people try to do it peacefully, this country told you, shut the fuck up. We don't want to see it. We don't want to hear it. Don't do it here. Don't protest here. Go protest somewhere else where we can't see it. They didn't. That's what they wanted. And years of black people peacefully protesting led to nothing. And now frustration kicks in. And now you have the riots. If you would have listened to that man, or at least let him speak, and address the issues 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever he started, we probably wouldn't be here now. But it took America to get punched in the mouth by sacking their businesses and rioting through the goddamn streets for people to wake up and say, holy shit, I think we have a problem. And that's sad. But the crazy thing is, the shit that they're protesting now, it's the same shit that Dr. King and Malcolm X and them was protesting in the 40s, 50s, 60s. The same shit. Why are we still here?
Well, here's the thing. I actually have a very good thought on this. And I heard this was I'm trying to remember where I heard this. I think it might have been another podcast I was listening to. But the gentleman talking, and I wish I could remember his name, made a very good point. You hear a lot right now, people say that we're worse than ever with racial divide in America, right? And how we approach race, talk about it, react to it. I don't think that's true at all, first of all. I mean in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s,
no.
People in the South, they were still hanging black people from the trees. Like, you cannot
and
say
you know why.
You're at point
and you know
A
why.
or point B.
And you know what?
Can I finish? Let me finish my thought.
Go.
So I don't want to lose it. If you say that now is worse than then, or just as bad as then, first of all, it's just not true. You can't.
No, I disagree.
You can't debate me.
I disagree.
You cannot debate me.
I will.
But
I will.
All right.
And
well, I'll
once
give you an
let me,
opportunity.
I'll tell you.
I'll give you an opportunity, but I don't see how you can. But
that's why I'm going to let you know.
But it's a slap in the face to Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement in general. You're taking away everything they fought for and all that progress they made. If you say right now that it's worse than it was before then.
Well, listen up. Are you listening?
And I just want you to, before you go down this road.
Are you listening?
Just before you go down this road. Could you at least accept that is a slap in the face?
No.
To that movement.
And I'm going to tell you what. I'll tell you what a slap in the face is. You ready for this? I want you to listen to this first. Race relations are worse now than they were when Martin Luther King was around. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when Martin Luther King was coming up, what did you have? You have the opinion and the personality of the submissive Negro The yes master, oh, the white man is great. Don't fight back. Don't raise arms. We're going to peacefully march. When they peacefully marched, you know what they did? They sicked dogs and fucking fire hoses on them. They didn't fight back. So America kept doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do to these people. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's worse now than it is back then, because this new generation of black people, they're not putting up with this shit. You keep fucking with us, we're going to punch you in the fucking mouth. You're not going to get the same peaceful, I'm walking down the goddamn street, you can sick your fucking dog on me, you can sick your firearms on me, your fire hoses on me. And no, we're not getting that. You're not getting that. You got to understand the mentality of black people back in the 40s and 50s and the 30s when they were getting lynched. Oh God, people, we have to do our history in this country.
Take a breath, bro.
If you do not know, Come on. Back in the day during slavery, white slave owners were trying to control their slaves, right? So what did they do? They went and hired a white dude called Willie Lynch. I don't know if anybody knows the Willie Lynch syndrome. This dude wrote a book on how to control slaves, right? So they brought him over to the United States. Willie Lynch says, hey, you guys need to control your slaves. I know exactly how you do it. This is what you do. Right? He created a process called buck breaking, right? And what this was is you gather all your slaves together, right? And you take the biggest, he tells you what you need to do is instill fear into the slaves. He said, watch the male black slave, because he is big and he is strong and he will hurt you. In order to break them down, you have to instill a system of fear in the minds of the slaves. So what he did was he showed up. He got all the slaves masters around. He told them, you gather all your slaves around and you find the biggest, strongest black slave you can find. You beat the shit out of him. You tie him down and you rape him in front of everybody. Right? And you break his fucking soul. And from that, you rape him, have anal sex with him in front of everybody.
This is what the master is supposed to?
This is the Willie Lynch system. This is what he taught the white slave owners. And he said, from that, the mothers will see what just happened to that man, to the biggest, strongest slave on the fucking plantation. And when they raise their children, they will tell their children, fear the white man, because what happened to him can happen to you. And those kids will grow up 30, 40 years old, 6'5", 260, fucking jacked, afraid of a 5'4", 113-pound white man because of what's been instilled in them over 30, 40 years, the fear of the white man by their mother. Those kids then instill that fear into their children, that then instill that fear into their children, and it goes and it goes and it goes. It's a generational effect. It's called buck breaking. He wrote a whole book on it. I implore anybody, go look at the book, go read it. This is the shit that happens. So these traits, these things have been passed down from generation to generation to generation. So in the 30s and 40s, there were still people who was afraid of white people. They wouldn't look at them. You would walk past a white man, even when you were free. You wouldn't look him in his eyes. You got to look down to the ground and walk past a white guy. They killed Emmett Till for allegedly whistling at a white lady, who she came out and said it was wrong. She lied.
But so how are we as bad now as we are then, dude?
We're bad now because we're bad now because the problem still exists. But the other thing is, black people aren't putting their fucking heads down no more and just walking around like, oh yeah, you can do it, you can do it.
What problem still exists? Just because there is progress that was made. And hold on. And it's very tangible, right?
Oh, I won't deny the progress.
Think about it. I mean, think about all the opportunities that black people have that they never dreamed of.
Yeah, the opportunities that black people have that hadn't been enacted by a vote of fucking Congress because white people wouldn't do it. Everything that
Right.
black people had to be put in the law for us just to get an equal footing. You
Agreed.
remove those laws, and what? What do you think is going to happen when you take those laws out?
Why are we taking the laws out? Why are we? Nobody's taking any laws out.
Because this isn't. So you asked me if we're better than we were before.
We are.
No, we're not. We're still the same. We still got the same problems. We still have the exact same. We still have the exact same problems. The only thing that's different is now a lot of people aren't so fucking brazen about it until this recent election. Then you start to see it creep back up a little bit. A lot of people aren't so openly as brazen about it. They try to keep it in the closet, like, oh no, we don't really want to. And you catch them on tape. You catch them in emails saying shit. So yeah, we still have the same problem. It's
Yeah,
still
but-
bad.
My argument there is just that kind of racism that still exists. Like you were saying, you catch people writing something in an email or this or that. That can be just chalked up. It's a guy being an asshole.
Racism
never-
is
you're ne-
racism. There's
you're
no
never-
levels of
hold on.
racism.
You're never going to get rid of assholes. There's always going to be some asshole that's
Mhm.
going to hate a black dude. I don't care how equal everybody is in the eyes of the law
Mhm.
or in culture or society. You're always going to have an outlying asshole who hates
I'll tell you this.
gays, who hates black people. You can't lump that in because this the same. You could say that the same thing about black people. There's an asshole black dude out there
I'm not
who
denying
hates
that.
white people.
I'm not denying that.
So
But we're talking about racist people
But we're
and
talking-
racism.
yeah, but we're talking about it in generalities.
Mhm.
I don't want to focus on the asshole
Mhm.
that's ruining it for everybody else.
Mhm.
You follow
No,
me?
I get it. But I'm not talking about assholes specifically. I'm specifically talking about racist people. Like racist people.
But my argument is that I don't think that the racism today in white people
Mhm.
is as systemic as it was in the 40s.
It's
we have
still
come
systemic.
we have come a
No.
long way, bro.
No. What we have done is gotten better at masking it. So it seems like it's not as bad.
I disagree.
Perfect-
I think,
perfect
hold
example.
on. We are the
Perfect
most
example.
tolerant. We are the
We
most,
are not the
hold
most
on.
tolerant.
We are the most tolerant generation. The people young
All right,
kids coming up
all right,
behind
I
us
get that.
right now
Mhm.
are. There is no doubt
You're right.
in
We
my
are
mind
we
that they
are
are the most tolerant
generation, and the young kids coming up are the most tolerant generation.
Mhm.
But this generation is not the generation in charge.
Well, you got to give that time.
So that's what I'm saying. We're no longer because you know who's in power right now?
Old white dudes.
Old white dudes, 50 to 80 years old. Right?
Right.
What was the time 80 years ago? Subtract 80 years from subtract 80 years from 2020.
Mhm.
What do you get?
80 years from 2020?
Yeah,
1960.
1960,
Well, 1940. Sorry. my bad.
1940,
I'm good at math.
1940. What were the race relations in 1940s?
They're-
Terrible.
They were terrible.
Subtract 10 years, 1950. So now we're talking about 70 years old. What was the race relations in 1950s?
They're still terrible.
Terrible. Subtract another 10 years. So now we're talking people who are 60, still lucid in the mind, still got their mindset. What was the race relationship in 1960s?
I'd say it was progressing.
It was getting to a point where you thought it was getting progressive.
Progressing.
No, it wasn't, because now you start to see the cops come into the LA neighborhoods, start beating the shit out of black people. Now they got to form Black Panther. Now the gangs are forming. This shit has been happening generation after generation after generation. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is that America has gotten better at disguising what it looks like to give you the idea of, oh, it's getting great. Who was that? Was it Mitch McConnell the other day that said, white people have paid for slavery by electing Barack Obama as president? Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Who says that?
That guy.
We're not better. We're just better at hiding it.
I see your point. I know what you're saying.
We're just better at hiding it.
I still don't know if I entirely buy into that.
Which is fine.
There's no way you could say that the level of racism still exists deep inside people
There is, and
we're
I'm gonna
better
show you
at
how.
masking it
There is, and I'm gonna show you how.
that we have, or we had pre-civil rights movement.
Do you want one good example?
No, I need a million fucking good examples.
I can give you. I can give you one good master category that will give you a million subcategory examples.
As long as you promise not to yell at me.
I don't know. I get so.
You're just beaten
I
down.
get so animated. It's
You're
frustrating.
wearing me out.
Look at the prison system.
Okay.
Look at our legal judicial system.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree that black people are incarcerated at a larger number, serving longer terms and harsher crimes for the same crimes of white people?
I mean, I guess on its face, yeah, you could. I would probably say, but honestly, I don't have any statistics.
Which is fine. We can go pull up numbers. That's systemic racism. So if you ever know anything about the black community, right? Let's look at the 80s.
You're saying right. You're saying that there's a systemic racism.
That's one example. That's one example.
But you made that point. I'm talking about get rid of the system.
No, I can't, because I got to talk about it as a whole. I can't get rid of it. I can put it to the side for now.
But you're lumping me and
I didn't lump you at all.
Into a. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't lump you in it. How do I lump you in it?
Well, if there's systemic racism and I'm a white guy.
No. So you don't no. It's not every white person is a racist. It's the system itself that's built, that's put in place to hold you back.
Right, but there's a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And you did allude to it just then. It may not have been the point you were trying to make.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we're just better at hiding our racism.
No. I didn't say I said the country's gotten better at hiding the racism.
The country meaning the system?
I mean, the government has gotten better. Because who's in charge of it? The government's in charge of everything. When slaves got free, right? This is gonna take me into another topic. You got Lincoln freed slaves. Every slave was supposed to get 40 acres and a mule. 40 acres of land so they could tend to themselves. Then Lincoln got killed. Never happened. Black people never got reparations. Right? Never got reparations.
There's some crazy conspiracy theories surrounding Abraham Lincoln's death, too.
Oh, I haven't heard any conspiracy theories.
I mean, come on, dude. An actor gets right up to the president and shoots him in the back of the head.
Listen, I can't tell you. But, so...
We should dive into that.
If we want to go into, reparations.
Yeah.
Every black person supposed to get 40 acres and a mule so they could start tending their own lands. That never happened. So what did they have to do? They had to go back to the plantations because the only skills that they had was being a slave and picking cotton and shit and working on farms. And they go work for the old masters, which is called sharecropping. So they would say, oh, come work for us and we'll give you a pay at the end of the week. So at the end of the week, the black people used to go get their pay, and the old slave masters would be like, "Oh no, we were supposed to give you $5, but here's 50 cents. Or actually, you owe us $1. You lived on our lands, you ate our food, you worked on our land, so your pay is actually less than what you owe us for allowing you to work on our farm and live on our farm." That's called sharecropping. That happened. That was fucked up. Right? So to this day, black people never got reparations. So generation after generations of white families were able to build on wealth of slavery and owning land and owning property if you weren't a slave owner, because you couldn't even own property when you were black. You weren't even considered a person. When they created the Constitution, they said black people was 2/3 of a person. They didn't even consider them a whole person. All men are created equal, except for the Negroes. Y'all not. Y'all 2/3. You can't even buy property, right? So now you get this. Then you get this topic of reparations, because then you got generation to generation of black people struggling. They've just been thrown out on the streets with no help after they've been abused for 400 years, and people get mad. Oh, I don't want to give black people reparations. They don't deserve reparations. My grandfathers did that, not me. That's the argument, which I get. I completely get. But what we fail to understand is that people always tell us you should get over slavery, get over slavery. I would love to hear somebody with enough balls to tell the Jews to get over the fucking Holocaust because nobody does it. They tell black people to get over slavery over and over again. And the Jews actually got reparations from Germany. In fact, they got reparations from the United States. They got money. If you want to know how much money got paid out to the Jews for reparations, go to a website called jewishvirtuallibrary.org. And it will tell you every country that paid out the Jews and how much they paid them out. Right? And what was it? 1941, Pearl Harbor. The United States rounded up every Japanese fucking citizen, every Japanese person in the United States, and they put them in the camps. What was it? Internment camps. Right? That's what they did.
Yep.
2 months after Pearl Harbor. Guess what? Japanese got reparations. And 2/3 of those people that they rounded up were American citizens. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about that at all. I think the numbers were what was it? Japanese American Citizens League, which is basically the Japanese NAACP. Like they fought, and then in 1998, Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act, which offered an apology and paid each surviving member $20,000, and with inflation, it wound up being $40,000. So the plan was, paying out like October 1st, it was $500 million going out the first year. The second year was $400 million. After that, the third year was $200 million. Then it was 2 more years of $100 million of reparations being paid to the Japanese people who were imprisoned falsely because of the Pearl Harbor, right? And they got reparations, and they weren't imprisoned as long as black people were slaves. But when black people bring up reparations, everybody's like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That happened so long ago. We're not paying reparations." America paid everybody else reparations, except for black people.
Do you think time is a factor at all, or no?
No, they just didn't give a fuck. Everything I've seen today have shown me that everything else in this country is more important than black people. Michael Vick went to jail for fighting dogs. That motherfucker lost his career. He went to jail, got out of jail, and people still didn't want him to go back and make millions of dollars because he killed dogs. People were pissed off about that.
Yeah, but do you think that had more to do with the dogs than it had to do with him being a black man?
It don't fucking matter. You put the life of a dog over the life of a fucking black man. You don't say shit about black people, but people complain about dogs?
No, hold on. Nobody said that Michael Vick should die.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they should die. What I'm saying is What I'm saying is there was such an uproar over Michael Vick killing dogs. But when black people were being murdered by the police, nobody really said shit. People were complaining about businesses being fucked up.
You're bringing in some wild.
Hold on.
Hold on. I think you're mixing racism up here. I don't know if that was necessarily a racial issue.
That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. You got to understand it as a whole. There's different parts that shows you the whole picture. You got the prison system, right? You got everything.
But you can't break that out.
No, it has to be. It has to be. You see, the problem is you have to look at the whole picture, and then you can start breaking it down into subdivisions and try to be specific about what you want to talk about. You can do that, but the problem is you have to look at the picture as a whole.
I get it.
As a whole,
10,000-foot view, and we just keep cutting
come down. So anyway, as I was saying. Like I said, so they would tell black people get over slavery, but won't tell Jews to get over fucking the Holocaust. You know, even though they got reparations, even though the Japanese people got reparations, even the Native Americans were given the fucking what do you call
the shittiest land in America?
Yeah, they were given something. You know, black people nothing.
What do you want? What would satisfy? Because my argument. This is my argument to reparations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I'm against it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I don't know if it fixes anything.
Oh, it will fix it. It definitely will fix the wealth gap in this country.
Well, so this is my question. So what number is it? How do you value that?
I'm gonna tell you how you value it. This is exactly how you value it. Right? And this is not my idea. This is an idea I heard somebody else say. If you want reparations and you want not to piss off as many non-reparation receiving people who families weren't slaves,
White
and-
people?
white people. and so here's the thing, too. And this is how important this goes. Where are you from?
From Maryland.
Where's your family from? Heritage-wise.
Oh, I'm Irish and German.
Can you trace back your family to your Irish crest or your German crest or whatever, how you do it?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never done it.
But if you wanted to, there's some kind of trail that will go back to your German heritage or your Irish heritage.
I think my Irish side was a pig thief. That's a legitimate story.
Okay.
That's
well,
as far
whatever.
back
You
as
can
I
trace
got
it back.
He was a prisoner. He got shipped here after he stole a fucking pig.
But you can trace it back.
To that. I think so.
Black
Yeah.
people can't. Once you were brought over on that boat, you don't know what country in Africa you're from, what tribe you were from, what your great-great-grandparents did, what they believed. You don't know shit. All you know, my last name is my last name. I almost said it. You know what I trace my last name back to? You know what it goes back to? A fucking slave owner. It goes no further than that. That's
You did
my
it?
history.
You've done that.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you off air who it belongs to. Someone here.
Interesting.
I'll wait. So there's a lot that's been stripped from black people, not just financially, culturally, emotionally, spiritually, all that. There's a lot, generation after generation.
You don't think
So-
some of that's been like you guys? I'm saying you guys, black people. If you've reclaimed some of that, and it's not African. I mean, you because
How do you reclaim it?
Said, I'm just saying you're built. You've got your own identity now. No,
Yeah,
yes or no?
we have an identity that we had to create because ours was taken from us.
Mhm.
If somebody says,
Isn't
boom.
that just as important?
if
To
you
you?
do, huh?
Isn't that just as important to you?
What?
I'm
create
not
my own
arguing this.
identity?
I'm just asking you a question.
No, it is. But if I don't know who I was, how can I teach my children who to be? You know, like if you look at this country, every time they show black people, they show pictures of, oh, this was a slave. He's no longer a slave. He fought and he's free. But guess what we were before we were slaves? Kings, queens, astrologers, doctors, scientists, property owners, businessmen, scholars. We were intelligent. We had culture that was stripped away. We can't trace that shit back. You can't. You got people over in England who are part of the royal family because they can check their fucking bloodline and their heritage all the way back to the beginning. That was stripped from us. Some of these people are African royalty walking around in the fucking country or laying in the fucking gutter because they don't have no idea of who the fuck they used to be. That shit's important. That is a building block. That shit was stripped. And here comes the implantation of the slave mentality of you are my slave.
I see. No,
You are now a free slave. You
I
are
hear
now
what
the
you're
son
saying.
of a free slave. You are now the son of a free slave.
Yeah,
like,
I get you. I know what you're
that's
saying.
what's passed on.
But and this is me personally.
Mhm.
I don't think about that at all. Like,
Why
it
would
has no
you?
bearing. It has no bearing. No. I'm not talking about. I don't think about what you just said.
Mhm.
I'm just saying my lineage has no bearing on my existence or my human being. The way I exist right now has no bearing. on
Mine
it.
does. You know why?
Why?
Perfect example. February,
Mhm.
Black History Month. All they teach you about is slaves and inventions of black people and how America couldn't survive without the black contribution. This country was built on the backs of slaves forcefully. So, and it's fucked up that it's pushed into 1 month. And white people always say, oh, well, you got Black History Month.
White people did not always say
Motherfucker.
that.
Black History Month ain't for us. We know our history. Black History Month is for you. You don't get taught Black history in your schools.
What white person ever said that to you?
People say it all the time. Like, oh, you guys get Black History Month.
That's preposterous.
That's not for us. It is preposterous, but it happens.
That's
So,
crazy.
anyway, back to what I was saying. You want to talk about reparations? This is not my idea. This is what I heard somebody say. You want to give reparations to black people? How about you make black people tax-free for the next 400 fucking years? That way you ain't got to worry about taking money out of nowhere and giving it to them. Let them earn tax-free. Let them buy tax-free for the same amount of time slavery was in this fucking country. And then that'll close the wealth equality gap. And it will make shit fucking right as rain and fucking equal. But somebody will complain about that. Even though the black people make up the smallest percentage of the population in this country. So you don't have to fucking...
That's not true.
Well, I mean, maybe not the smallest, but a small percent.
You're a minority.
We're a minority. So at the end of the day, don't tax their paychecks. Don't tax the land that they buy. For 400 years, let them catch up.
All right, here. The problem with that is, where do you draw the line with, are you taking DNA tests?
I don't know. I mean, if you're born in this country,
where I see that going sideways,
you don't have to go far.
Is the fraud that
I'm pretty sure there will be fraud
associated with that?
But there's, I mean, the same amount of fraud in
like wasn't
politics.
It
there's the same
Warren?
amount of fraud. Well, let me finish. Elizabeth, yeah. There's the same amount of fraud in politics. There's the same amount of fraud in the welfare system. You'll never get away from fraud in any system that you build in this country. So if that's the argument that people want to lean on, bullshit. Because if you want to talk about the fraud there, talk about the fraud everywhere else. And once you get rid of the fraud everywhere else, then you can pinpoint and say, oh, well, we got to worry about the fraud.
Well, but is there a line that's ever drawn?
Well, it's not hard. You can go back to your mother, your father, their mothers, their fathers. Slavery
25%?
was only slavery was only what, 100 years ago? Ish. It wasn't that long ago.
No. I'm saying so. But what are you doing? 25% blood?
Whatever it is, track your lineage. You got to track it. It's not. All you got to do is really go back maybe 2-3 generations.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is a person who is 8% African lineage.
I see what you mean.
Do you see what you follow me?
Right. I don't know. Maybe you come up with a scale. 49%, 50%.
If you're over 50%,
44%.
No taxes. If you're
a
30% to 40% range,
scale it. Listen, there are people in this country that are far more smarter than I am who can figure that out. A sliding scale. That's a perfect resolution for that. So
back to my point.
Go for it.
Does that actually fix anything?
Yes. And I'm gonna tell you why.
You think
go.
You think if the president tomorrow signed an executive order and said, this is what's gonna happen, you think that all these people would just be like, fuck it, sounds great. All right, see you. No more rioting. I don't care. I don't care if.
Are you ready?
If another cop shoots a black guy, I don't care
No.
Well,
right is right. Wrong is wrong. That's a separate issue.
But
than
when it
reparations.
happens again,
I'm gonna tell you, when it happens again, they'll be better prepared for it. Because you know why? Because now they're financially able to be. America only understands 2 things in this country: violence and money. What are the Jewish community known for? They're known for coming together and having fucking money. And having the power behind the money. Because the money of the community gives them the power. And tell me I'm wrong. The money gives them the power. Money talks.
Yeah, but that's a stereotype too.
No, but it's not just for the Jews. That's one of the things that Jewish people are known for. They're known for coming together as a community.
Stereotype.
They're known for Jewish.
It's not a bad one.
I'm not. Well, let me fix it. Jewish people are known for coming together as a community, having the financial backing to get shit done. White people also financial backing to get shit done. The Asian Americans come together as a community, have the financial backing to get shit done. It's about the money. The money gives you power. So yes, that would fix a lot of the shit. The money gives you power. Look at all the rich people who did shit and got off because they had money to get expensive as lawyers.
But there's plenty of poor white people in this country too.
I'm not saying it's not. I'll never deny that.
You know, so I'll
never deny that they're poor white. No, it's not tough. Because guess what? The poor white people weren't slaves for 400 years. The poor white people.
But you're saying
the poor white people weren't discriminated on the color of the skin because they were black.
They didn't.
I had a friend who used to tell me. I had a friend who used to tell me I was Irish. The Irish people were treated like that when they came over. You guys weren't treated like the black people were. Like you might have had some bullshit you had to deal with, and that's fucked up too. But you weren't treated like slaves were. So yeah, there are poor white people, and I get that, and that's fucked up. But they weren't treated like the slaves. They didn't have rights separated from them. They weren't hunted in the street by the KKK. They weren't lynched in the street by the KKK. They didn't have their own town fucking bombed from the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riots. They didn't have that happen to them. These are years and years of fucked up shit. The black people, like over and over and over again. And now people are fucking done. And they're fucking tired. And this new generation is not like the old generation. They looked down to the ground and walked around. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, master. No, master. No. There's you fuck with me, I'll punch you in the fucking mouth. And that's what we're dealing with right now. People are tired of it. And they're no longer putting up with it.
I guess I accept everything you're saying. I don't think you're far off base there.
And let me preface, it's not for you to agree or anyone else listen to me agree.
Yeah. But I guess, I don't know. My hang up is that I just don't think culturally that there's a level of racism that exists in America.
Why? Why do you think that? Is that because you haven't experienced it? You haven't seen it?
No.
I can go right out my front door and I can see it. Because I get the looks of my neighbors that stare at me when they see me put my key in my door and unlock my door. And I got people who are in the next room that can verify that.
I just know that there's a lot of good people out there that
I'm not saying there's not a lot of good people. There are a lot of good people out there. Just like there's a lot of good cops out there, but there's a lot of bad people who are fucking it up. You're absolutely right. There are a lot of good people out there, and I don't take anything away from them at all.
It's just it's a fucked up version of the world we live in.
But it's the version of the world that we live in. And I don't have the luxury of saying it's fucked up. I don't want to deal with it. I can escape it, stay in my home. It doesn't affect me because it affects me. Like I said, before I'm anything, I'm a black man.
You're successful.
No, I'm okay. You see my schools where I grew up? My schools are terrible. They don't give a shit about inner city schools. Inner city is code for black people, if you don't know. They don't give a shit about black schools, black kids. Like, they don't give a fuck. Dude, my 12th grade class, my geometry class, you know what we did for class? 12th grade. We watched Jerry Springer every day because the teacher didn't want to teach shit. 12th grade.
Well, why does that teacher have a job?
Because it's the black school district. Nobody gives a shit about black kids' schools. They don't give a fuck about their education. You know, when I went to college, you know how wildly unprepared I was compared to my white friends in college? Terribly unprepared. Terribly. Embarrassingly unprepared. And I wasn't an asshole student. I wasn't. No,
Yeah.
you want to talk about the disparities in schools? Let me ask you a question. When you were in elementary school, what did your textbooks
Okay.
look like?
What do my textbooks look
Mhm.
like?
Did you do anything special to your textbooks?
We had to wrap them in brown paper.
Oh, we did the same thing. I was gonna talk shit on that.
I wrapped them in brown paper.
We did the same thing. We had to
You
wrap our
fucking dick.
textbooks.
Dude, I grew up, listen, it was a poor existence.
Where were you? Oh yeah, well, Idaho. I mean,
That wasn't
it's-
fucking Idaho. It might as well have been, though. I went to school with some hillbilly.
I was gonna talk so much shit about wrapping my textbook with a fucking
the
brown
worst.
paper bag.
I remember hating doing it when I was a kid. It was the fucking worst thing. But then when you get it all wrapped up, draw cool shit on it.
Yeah,
So-
and you write your little name on it. But that's where I was going. So you knocked that out. Thank you.
Aced it.
I'll B minus it, bitch. But yeah, man, it's fucked up.
Listen, man,
And I'm tired. I'm tired of it.
I'm tired of you shouting in my ear right now.
I'm sorry. I'm very passionate this episode. A lot of people aren't gonna like it.
You know I love you.
I love you too, man.
And I will make one last point.
Go.
You see all the white people out at these protests holding the signs, the Black Lives Matter
Uh-huh.
signs.
Right.
I've even seen some apologizing for being white.
No, that's ridiculous. That's just taking it too far.
It's absurd. But this is my point. I think those could potentially be some of the racist motherfuckers.
It very well could be.
And I'll tell you, my thought there is I would never be or think twice about holding a sign up, like going out to a protest that says Black Lives Matter. That would actually make me, not that it makes me feel uncomfortable holding the sign, but I wouldn't want black people thinking like I'm just hopping on and like I'm kissing your ass or I don't want you to beat me up. Like these are the thoughts that I think those people have. I think those are the same people that you're talking about when you're trying to put your key in your door out here and give you a sideways look. Those are the same people out there holding those signs. I think they have extreme guilt. Extreme guilt about having those thoughts in their head. I don't think they want them in their head. I think they feel bad about them. And you know, when they see you walking down the street, that old lady holding the sign out there says Black Lives Matter is the same one that's crossing the street.
Which very well could be.
When it's just you and her walking.
And that being said,
and that is the weirdness and where this gets very gray in some of these protests. And I think there's some extreme guilt that these people are carrying.
which very well could be.
You know, and I would feel very awkward doing that.
And that's a duality. That's the reality of duality. And I'm glad you brought that up because this kind of brings it back to when we were talking about how the cops and how there are good cops. I think it's very hard today to be a police officer, hands down. But what's harder to being a police officer is being a black police officer. Because now you stand in that line where you can see where the police are coming from and you see where the public is coming from.
Did you see the white lady
yelling at the black cop?
The black cop racist.
Yeah. And the fucked up part is because if you're a black cop, a lot of times you get called the Uncle Tom from your own people.
That's the worst.
And if you're a black cop, right? Yeah. And then if you're a black cop, you get looks from people in your own department from white people like, oh yeah, you can't support Black Lives Matter. You're a cop. And you gotta be like, bro, they gotta be like, before I'm anything, I'm a black man. So yeah, I support Black Lives Matters as a police officer because I'm fucking black. Like once I take this uniform off, I'm the average everyday black guy.
It's just such a ridiculous thing. Like, to me, the statement "Black Lives Matter" to me just sounds. It's so obvious to me that I don't even know how you could be against it or not stand for it.
Listen, man.
To me, it's such an obvious thing. It's such an obvious statement. You know?
Yeah. Well,
Like the
It's all
fact that
fucked up.
it has to be plastered or painted in a mural on a road is crazy.
I saw that.
I mean, of course, Black Lives Matter, man.
Yeah.
But
And I saw a good
but I
argument.
know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's a systemic thing, and if that's if it's the system that you feel is stacked against it, it's something I can't talk to because I'm not black. You know,
It's not that you can't talk to it.
I can't talk to it.
You can talk to it. No, you can. If you do your own
I can comment on it.
No, you can
I
talk
can't
to
talk
it.
to it.
And this is how you talk to it. And this is what I encourage everybody to do. Don't take what I say for it. Go do your own research.
I don't think anybody
Collect
does.
the data. Nobody does. Collect the data, formulate your own opinion, and come up with an educated response of to what you honestly think. Look at the numbers. Look at the statistics. Look at the situations. And you can paint yourself a picture if you're looking objectively. You don't have to agree. You don't. But because you don't agree or because you don't experience it, doesn't mean it's not happening.
I just hope after all the protests, the riots, whatever,
Mhm.
we get something positive out of this. I want something positive.
I would like that to happen too.
If you're moving the sticks forward at all, that's a win.
I agree.
I just don't want to keep moving backwards. And I want the gap to get bigger. That's my biggest fear. And
Mhm.
I think that there's a strong possibility of that happening.
Well, it'll probably be because you got to understand about racism. Black kids, black babies, and white babies play with each other all the time. Racism is a learned thing, and because it's learned, that means somebody is teaching it. And if it's always taught, it will always be around. So we got to stop the teaching, and then that'll stop the learning. But it'll always be around.
Like I said earlier, there's no doubt in my mind, this is definitely the most tolerant generation that we got coming up behind us.
Mhm.
I mean,
I'm gonna give you that.
and I think that only gets better moving forward.
I would like that. So
Well, listen, Smooth, you said a lot today.
we did say a lot. I got a little.
You said a
Fired
lot of
up.
words.
We should do a word count.
I don't know if anybody is still listening at this point. They might have turned this shit off 40 minutes ago.
Well, thank you for listening. If you are still listening, so
We're just two assholes. You know what the fuck's going on. But it was interesting getting into this with you.
I agree.
Do you hate me now?
No, why would I hate you?
Nah. I don't know.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. We're gonna wrap this up. Are you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, I think so.
I just jumped into the outro.
Nah, we gotta do it. It's been long enough. It's our longest episode yet.
Yeah, I like it.
It's
Actually, what was the intro? The intro episode, was that long? That was long.
Nah, it wasn't
It was
this
like
long.
an hour. Oh well.
But this was a heavy topic, so we got it out the way, and we'll move on to something more. I don't know.
Whatever comes up.
Light.
Send in your comments and
Something not as heavy.
www.askablacktguy.com. Go right to the website, shoot on comments, send them on in. We read them. We'll respond. And we'll answer.
I read everyone, respond to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on Insta.
Instagram, yep. Check us out on
Follow
Facebook.
us.
You can listen to us on
Ask a Black Guy.
.com. You can catch us on iTunes, catch us on Google Play, catch us on Spotify. Actually, iTunes is being a little difficult right now. We got some bugs to work out.
If anybody's listening from iTunes, help us out.
Yeah, something's going on.
Something's jacked up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, from our mics to your ears, thank you for sharing our time. And this is Slim and Smooth signing off.
Until next time.